This week on Avalanche Garage.
There's no avalanche, but we mess with the Mercedes. You might ask yourself, I own an 8-year-old Mercedes. It's a luxury car. It costs the same as half a Honda Civic. Why would I bother chasing the transmission fluid myself and not pay somebody else to do that? Well, you're right. Here's our bill of materials. We got ATF 10 liters, transmission pan gasket, new transmission pan bolts, some torque converter, drain blocks, the pan overflow pipe, new filter for the transmission, and a fluid pump. This is the first time I'm using an actual fluid pump. The vehicle is lifted, leveled. We need to get some tools and get that plastic splash guard out, and then we're in business. Okay, the plastic covers are now out of the way. We have rotated the crank until we can see the drain plug of the torque converter through a peephole. So when you rotate the crank, well, at least when I do that, I do it in clockwise direction because I don't want to accidentally loosen the crank bolt. The plastic or rubber plug for the torque converter was already missing. There has been a minor leak there somewhere. The torque converter outside is dry, so that leak is probably coming from somewhere higher. The good news is I don't have any sort of tool that I could use to remove that drain plug. The plug is offset in the hole, and there's no way I can get a straight hex tool in. I'd need to have some sort of L-shaped special hex bit. You'd get 2 more liters out of the transmission if you drain the torque converter. We don't get all of the fluid out anyway, so we still get half the fluid if we do just a pan, drain and fill, and I think that's fine. I've done that millions of times, and I have not lost the transmission because of it. So I'm gonna change the filter and the fluid in the pan and call it a day. This is a metal pan, which is much better than what we would see in the newer models, 8-speed or was 9-speed. This is a 7-speed Mercedes, and or in BMWs, when you have a plastic pan, it's used once and thrown away. You can't just change the gasket. You need to change the whole pan. Here's the drain slash fill plug, which we'll take out in a minute. Oh my. This fluid is black. We get a little bit of it out this way, but not a whole lot. So the next thing to happen is we'll remove the plastic thingy and drop it inside the transmission pan. Or not. Or we just keep on draining like this. The more we get out, the less mess we're gonna make when we remove that pan. But the pan is leaning backwards, so it's not gonna drain fully. It's gonna be a couple of liters at least there.
Are you getting the fluid out?
I'm draining it. Could you bring me the roll of paper towels from the workbench?
Blue one?
The blue one, yeah. Thank you. Clean enough. And then I am wiping it a bit. I need to get that harness out. Okay, one.
Leave that in this shot.
Like so. This way. Okay, now the next task is to remove those pan bolts, starting from the hardest one. And before we drop this pan, we need to get some floor protection cardboard underneath, because we're going to make a mess. There's really no way to change transmission fluid without making a mess. I don't know if this camera can see anything anymore, but this is a bit boring. One more to go. Oh, the pan is starting to fall. Great. Now, we are committed. This is getting a bit heavy. Okay, this is exactly what I was expecting to happen. So maybe this is not the how-to video that you should be following. And I don't have any kitty litter because my father-in-law was helpful enough to throw it away. But at least the garage floor is well greased now. A mess was made. Here is the filter. There is clutch material here, so it is really the time to change it. And I am glad that the O-ring came out with this filter, because it's a pain in the ass to take it out. Here is magnet, which is full of metal. This will come out like so. We'll replace that. And pour this fluid down a bit. Clean up the pan and replace the filter and replace the pan gasket. Okay, there's only one of these magnets here. It's pretty tight. Oh yeah, it comes off with one hand. Let's put it here. Ah, this transmission has seen things. Okay, I'm gonna clean it up, wipe it down. Okay, I washed the pan with brake clean. It is imperative that there is no lint or any dirt in it when installing. I'm gonna put this thing back on. The fluid will come to this level. It's like a dipstick sort of thing, but it's fixed. So when we are filling the transmission, the engine will be running and the fluid will be barely leaking out. Then that's how we know it's full. Now I'm gonna put on the gasket. This gasket has to be absolutely clean also, and no gasket makers, nothing. Like so. Now we put the pan away for a little bit and go and install the filter. So this is a bit nasty because the fluid is still dripping on my face. Trying to avoid it by wiping transmission mount. Take a little bit of fluid from the transmission and lube the O-ring. Slide this one in like so. And avoiding rolling the gasket is the hardest part here, because it likes to come off. Is this even right way? No, it's backwards. Good point. All right. Now we thread in one, and two. And check the gasket is good. Notice that we're hand threading these bolts, so we don't squeeze the gasket if it's not in the groove. And we're getting the hair done here, greased up also. And the gasket seems to be correct all around. Now I need to get the last of the bolts. These are disposable, so I'm putting new bolts on, of course, because these are torque to yield, which is really important with this magnesium transmission case. The brackets look like this. There is a groove which goes to over the lip of the transmission pan. So this is certainly not your traditional transmission pan. And the bolt goes right through here. This is something you don't want to do blind. and mess up your transmission case or the fasteners. But when you're my age, you do everything blind by default. And the last bracket is a bit different. Looks like this. It goes to the corner, drinker side corner. Okay, so the pan bolts are torque to yield. It's 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, and 4. Okay, we'll first do 4 Newton meters, and then we'll do 180 degrees. This is the clicking type of torque wrench, and we want to hear the click while the wrench is turning. It's completely, utterly useless to click it if the bolt doesn't turn, because we're turning against static friction, which will give us completely incorrect torque reading. So we're turning, click, 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 and the 6th one, click. Now, what is torque to yield? Torque to yield means we are stretching the bolts, and this is kind of silly German thing for transmission pan, but since it's designed like that, it is designed like that. So I'm sure the shop manual might call for using bevel protractor, but you know, 180 degrees is pretty easy to eyeball, and it's a bit tight here with this wrench. I'm going to still use this torque wrench, whatever, and I'm going to do 90 and 90. 90. 90. And this bolt is spent. $90. Okay, now there's that hole which we need to fill with the plug. I need to go and buy that. We're gonna start with this kind of contraption. We have the drain fill plug adapter with a valve. We're opening the valve. Since we have no idea how much fluid we took out because the damn thing splashed, I'm gonna assume it was 5 liters, and so we're gonna put 6 liters in, and that will happen like so. This is an manual pump, 3 liters of capacity. So I'm pumping. Oops. Pumping. It's a bit easier than a transfer pump that you put into an oil bottle. It goes in pretty quickly, and notice that the engine is not running yet. Alright. We're putting the rest of it in. It's a nice sound effect of the Prius. That's 5 liters. Gonna pump that in. And after this, I'm gonna put 1 more liter. So it's 6 total. I'm not gonna use a measuring cup. I'm just using the markings on the can because I'm not relying on knowing exactly how much fluid I put in there, which you'll see shortly. So if everything is correct, 1 liter will come out of the transmission when we're done. I'll pump this in and close the valve. Okay, let's put in there and close the hatch. Release the pressure. Okay. Right. So start the engine. Run through the gears. About 10 seconds. And let's see if the paddle shifters will do anything. Up to second. And neutral. Reverse. Feel the transmission engaging, so I'm sure there's some fluid in there. Neutral and park. Now we leave it here. And we get ready with the temp gauge, the thermometer. 16C, 16.8C is the floor. Is about right. 62.3 Fahrenheit, yeah. Okay, I'm almost out of battery in my GoPro. And there should be fluid coming out. Yep, there is. As expected, which is good. Temperature 22. So we'll wait until it's up to temperature. Oh boy, this takes forever. 38, getting close. I'm gonna get a pan. Bring the rest of it to the pan so I can see what's going on. Usually these transmissions have temperature range, which is much wider. I double checked this one and it says 45C, but I think that's not exact science. I mean, imagine a lube tech who would do it this accurately. This is the kind of trickle we want to see when it's at 45. 42. So the GoPro ran out of battery. We are very close. and I'm not gonna stop for recharge. I am reading almost 43. Okay, I am at 45. I'm gonna plug it. 22 Newton meters, because we are scientists, not mechanics. There you go. And we're done with this. My drain pan still had 4 liters in it. I probably lost 1 liter on the ground, so that's about right. So let's see what we have in the pump after we drained it out of the transmission. This is probably fairly dirty because it's half a fresh fluid and half used fluid. It is dirty, and we got, that's half a liter. It's like half as dirty as the fluid that we took out. It should be about a little under a liter, so it's about perfect. So I put in 6 and I took out a bit under a liter, so we should have roughly speaking, dry them out there now. So I really wish that I could have got 2 more liters out, but 2 more liters would have still left dirty fluid in there. And so the solution to pollution is dilution. So we have now fresh additives there. We have half as much clutch material in the fluid, and we have a new filter. Next time, I'm not gonna wait 70,000 miles to change the fluid. I'm probably gonna do it at 40,000. Maybe this transmission lasts a lifetime.
That's all for Avalanche Garage. See you next week.